Okay, so we're going to talk about today buyer presentation, objection handlers. Maybe Ellen, you can help us out today on this new piece of the conversation on compensation. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. We'll role play that a little bit. But before we get there, we're going to talk about buyer presentation and what that might look like. I'm going to show you guys what I do. But before that, we're going to talk about the market. All right, how many homes on the market right now? Anyone?
Oh, I forgot.
There's like around 4,000-ish single family in Austin.
Okay, good, thank you. Total MLS right now for sale. Anybody? 15,000, since we're not getting close. 15,000. Within the last 60 days, it was upwards, almost 16. We've come down a little bit. It's July numbers from the Austin Board of Realtors are out. If you're not out, look, these are on the calendar for us. And when it's on the calendar, I think it's the 15th, I get my assistant to pull the numbers. They're not always out on the 15th. Sometimes it takes a few days longer because median price point for Travis County right now is $525. Yeah, 525, and that's exactly the number from June. January, we were at 478, so we're up 47,000 since January. Travis County. Now I know these are macro numbers, and Georgetown and South Austin and Hutto, and I get it. We're just looking at the big picture though right now, real quick, because the most common question we get as a realtor is what? How's the market? Okay, so Williamson County median sales price point is not Rick, because he's looking at it.
440.
Yeah, pretty close. 428. Kimberly Treadaway gets closest without going over. 428. Last month, 434. So we're down just a point. 5,000. We're down just a point on that. And since January of this year, Williamson County, 429. So interesting. Travis County up 47,000 since January. Williamson County pretty much even. 429 in January, 428 in July. Williamson County. Okay, average days on the market, says anyone?
60.
Yeah, 60 in Travis, 62 in Williamson. Both of those numbers are even from the last month, literally. From last year, it's up 6 days up in Williamson, up 8 days in Travis. 60 days. Now, somebody said yesterday, I had a prospect who I was talking to, and she said, I've done my homework. I know it takes about 60 days, whether that's true or not. And I said, actually, it's true and not.
Right.
Why, Johanna?
Because it depends on how you price your house. Not every house is going to sell in exactly 60 days. That's why it's an average.
Right. It is an average, and here's where I'm coming from. When a property's priced right, under 1.5, somewhere, okay? Under 1.5, it should sell. You should be getting offers within 30 days, okay? 30 to 45 days, all right? Under $1 million for sure, 30 days, okay? You should get an offer. And I don't get an offer because we know I'm overpriced, all right? And because this takes into account all properties sold, we can see and do your own homework and check this out. When a property adjusts its price to a price point buyers think is an acceptable price to make an offer on, that property gets an offer within 30 days.
Right.
I see some heads nodding, right? Yeah. Okay, so I said, Mrs. Prospect, you're right. You know what? The average days on market is hanging around 60 days. And we know that when a property sells, it should sell within 30 days when it's priced right. Because that's taking into account properties that were priced wrong and sat on the market too long. We good on that?
Yeah.
Good?
Is the rotten banana chart, is that still valid, or do we have to make adjustmts to that in order to use that chart to clarify our...
Which chart are you talking about for
the rotten banana chart?
the curve?
Yeah.
As far as, so the right...
Because it shows like, when offers come in at the beginning and then it dips off.
Yeah.
Do you remember it falls off a cliff?
I use it in my presentation. And I actually say rotten bananas too, and they laugh. because they get it.
But those numbers have to be adjusted, because it used to say like the first 2 weeks.
Well, it's actually the first, yeah, let's look at it super quick. I think I have it here. Let's just look at it. Takes just a second since we're here. Let me see, listing. Explain rotten bananas, Kimberly Trudaway.
So, you don't want your house to sit on the market like a rotten banana, right? Bear with me here.
Right, right.
Rotten banana?
Yeah.
What happens when bananas sit on the
Flies.
counter for too long?
You get flies.
They get flies. Yeah, what's that? You make a shake out of it. Banana bread. Right? You make the best out of a bad situation.
Right.
So if your house is sitting on the market for a long period of time,
Yeah.
that banana, you want offers when it's fresh and bright and just the right yellow.
Yeah.
The minute it starts to turn brown, what do people start to think about your house?
Yeah.
Something wrong with it, right? It's getting into banana bread territory.
Yeah. Look, I think this is your biggest opportunity to be able to, if you have listings, your biggest opportunity to get this right. Because here's the deal: buyers are out there. If you think that a good amount of showings is 3 or 4 showings the first week, you're kind of right. But are there more buyers out there?
Yes.
Way more. How do I know? How do you know, Johanna?
I've just sent 4 people in 2 days.
I just sent 4 people in 2 days, right? So I have a strategy that I'm not going to get into now, but on aggressively underpricing property. And I use the pyramid. You remember the pyramid? I actually just put that back into my listing presentation for the purpose of this, I'm going to call it flash sale strategy, where I dramatically underprice it. Okay, and what's happened? Property, I don't know who else I was talking to besides my team. We had a property at $450, not selling, 2 or 3 showings a week, Millwood area off of Palmer near Apple. $450, I lowered it to $325. 40 showings, 15 offers. Guess what price the highest price was? $445 with $10,000 credit.
That's great.
They're out there. They're out there. Okay, so you got to get your head around being able to communicate that confidently, to be able to let them know that, look, it is the first 30 days. Activity level, weeks on the market. Okay, 1, 2, 3 to, right around 3 is how it ramps up on activity level. And then weeks 4, 5, and 6. I think this is pretty.
Still good.
It's still good in my mind. Yeah. The problem is, if you start too high, you start like down here. And then you do this. And they don't come see the property. And then worse, which are the people that I call TPC compliant, that the I'm with it. Okay, so that that when I lost my, being a smartass, I lost my train of thought. So when we call them, they're wondering, why they didn't get showings initially when the property was a really nice property, but they started too high, and then they're chasing down the market, and then that's when you're bruised bananas. And then people are going, wonder what's wrong with that property. Or also they might say, I don't know, what? What do they say?
Buyers can lowball it.
Buyers can lowball it, but sellers not motivated maybe, right? Nah, looks like a stubborn seller. Bruised bananas, just happens. Okay, cool. Comments, questions, concerns on anything that we're talking about now before we move on? Good? Okay, let's rock and roll. Buyer presentation. Okay, buyer presentation. This is my buyer presentation that I've shifted into a 1-pager. It used to be 2 pages, but now it's 1 page to make it a lot more simple for me and for anybody that I coach with it. Okay, so the open is, I really appreciate your time. We're gonna take a look at a few things today. First, what you can expect from a professional like me to get the best deal. Second, what's happening with the market and how to take advantage of it. And then finally, at the end of the conversation, if you feel comfortable and confident, you can decide to hire me to help you. Is that fair? Yeah, that's fair. Okay, cool. So just like a good speaker's trained, professionally speaking, talk about what you're going to talk about, okay? Versus just like jumping in there and just like running away with the presentation. Like, let's talk about what we're going to talk about first. It sets clarity. It sets definition. It shows you're a professional. Who wants that? Say me. Me. Okay, not everybody wanted that. Okay, all right, then we're going to review the pre-qual. What pre-qual, Paul? That was the last class, okay? It's in the playbook. There's all kinds of pre-qualifications out there, even within KW, as far as how to pre-qualify them before the appointment. I think this is the biggest missed opportunity in real estate, in my opinion, is your ability to pre-qualify your appointments. Ask some questions before you get out there to find out what's going on. What are their objections? What are they thinking? What's happening in their head with anything, really, right? Because once I ask those questions and I show up and I go, well, Paul, you say, Paul, you already pre-qualified them. Why would you review the pre-qualification? Because they lie.
Sometimes they don't lie, they just don't tell you everything because you haven't gained their trust.
1,000%. That was the very next thing I was going to say, Jonna, is that they don't think about it, they don't tell you, and they go, oh yeah. And you're like, that's pretty important. Right? So it's important to review the pre-qualification, and you're not going to do the whole pre-qualification, but the important points. You told me, and you said, and it was important to you that. Okay, to review the pre-qual, then I'm going to review the market. Okay, what am I reviewing on the market? Right here. That's exactly what I'm going to review. Okay, is I'm going to go through this right here, and I only pick three or four of the points here, just very quickly. And in that is an opportunity to talk about strategy, before I'm actually going to talk about full strategy, is on the fact that maybe we have to make an offer over asking price. Possible in this market? Could that happen?
Yes.
Happens. Or, and look, let's get that out of the way first, because what they really want to hear is, and maybe we can make an offer significantly below asking price. Maybe. I don't know. We're going to find out, though, and part of me bringing you inside market information is that ability to find out what the market numbers really mean. Because, see, data is everywhere, but like, what does the data mean to me, Mr. Buyer, Mrs. Buyer? Okay, my ability to be able to tell them, like, well, what does that mean? And how can I take advantage of it? So I use the market study to talk about the opportunities for making offers.
I have a question. So pre-COVID, I used to do all my buyer reps in person. And COVID happened, and then I was doing everything remotely. Because of the NAR thing, should we be going back to in person? Is that what everyone's doing?
Well, I think it's a combination. You know, like for me, I want to be in person, and I'm going to take Zoom whenever I can if that's what's more effective or efficient. I mean, so I think it's just up to you and what you feel comfortable with and what your standards are. Like, what are your standards? And then you make exceptions to the standard, yes.
Right.
I don't mind Zoom. Look, in person's better to me because that energy is just real. It's contagious. You can transfer energy via Zoom, is just not as good as being in person, you know, and being able to shake hands and like have that energy in front of each other. Okay, so we review the market, number 3, okay? Because we're talking about, we're gonna get to here is, ooh, look at that word. I gotta change that one. Don't let the broker see that word. Okay, strategy and negotiations. So here is my visual that I use. So we talked about the market. Strategies and negotiations. So I pull up this visual and talk about open market. So we're gonna talk about the multiple listing source. Multiple listing service, and it's the source of all property data. Get rid of Zillow. Okay, this is my opportunity to go, hey, don't worry about Zillow, Redfin.com, Realtor.com. This is where everything comes from. And I get a hard commitment on that. Does that make sense? Yes. So we're gonna look at all the properties based off of where I'm gonna give you the connection to the source on where all of those internet websites syndicate from. How does that sound? Sounds great. Okay, great. So you don't need that anymore, all right? And then I look at them like, don't be a bad little boy, okay? If you happen to wander around the website of Zillow or wherever it is that you're looking, where are you looking, by the way? Good question. And they go, Zillow, Redfin, right? Is that if if you're looking around there and you see properties not sent to you on the list, then the only reason you'd see those properties is they don't fit your criteria, because we're going to zero right in on exactly what your criteria is. Does that make sense? That makes sense. Okay, so if we have to make any adjustments on criteria, we can do that, and then that way you can work efficiently without having to be bouncing around all over the internet and figuring out what you're looking at. Are you okay with that? Yeah, I'm okay with that. Okay, great. Let's move on. Negotiations. Okay, on my listing appointment, this is my superpower, right? Is my ability to negotiate, because you could win or lose 1% to 3% or more in the negotiation process. False or true? There's a lot going on in that negotiation process. Right, and I can tell that Gulai highly puts value on the negotiation process, because you've won. I'm good at it. I love it too. Maybe it's the D in us. We're like, come on. In a nice way though, right? In a nice way. Because when you can do it skillfully, then it's even more fun. Okay. So the negotiations, we're going to look at activity. We're going to review the pending and the active and the sold, because there's a lot of data out there, and then you need to understand what's going to happen and what that data means to you. Like I just mentioned before, maybe we can offer lower. Maybe we have to offer higher. Maybe with my conversation, direct conversation, agent interviews, I'm going to get some information that you couldn't otherwise get based off of my relationships with other realtors. And so that's another piece of value that I'm going to bring to the conversation, so that you can get the best deal possible. How do you feel about that? Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Okay, great. And then a final analysis, suggestions on the contract and strategy, because there's lots of different ways to win or lose or concede or take advantage on the contract. So really, Mr. Buyer, negotiations are my superpower to be able to get you the best deal possible when 5% of us are doing 95% of the business in this industry. This is something that I bring to the table that will absolutely be a huge benefit for you outside of just showing you homes and looking around at property, really winning you the best deal. How does that make you feel? Feel great. Okay, great. Okay, questions, comments, concerns?
I have a comment. As a C personality, I like to pull out the purchase contract and highlight all the negotiable areas, and then I can say, so that when we make an offer, you won't be seeing this document for the very first time. I want to quickly go through these negotiable points and see if you have any questions. That way we can move fast when you find the house that you like.
I love that. That's really good. Yeah, I also have a pre-marketing piece that I send buyers and sellers for my website, my Google reviews. I do a short intro video. Hey, it's Paul, and I want to be a good servant for you. And then the contract, right, for them to look at, to be able to make sure that they're ahead of any of these questions or comments or concerns they could have. Okay, so I move through strategy and negotiations, teamwork process. Not really gonna go through this. I'm just gonna show it to you really quickly. Is a little diagram that there you go. A little diagram that I use for being able to explain, like, well, what's going on here? Who's involved? What's involved? Do you know what earnest and option money are? Any questions around survey or funding and recording? And so I go through this very quickly, inner ring, outer ring, and just to kind of explain the process. So that they understand what's happening and address any questions. Talk about money, because I think a few power hours ago I talked about another buyer that I was talking to, and she didn't know that she needed to bring earnest money. And she'd bought a house before, right? Happens, okay? So we talk about teamwork quickly. I don't go through this one really, but this is out there for them to look at as far as the process. What's the actual process look like? Okay. Okay, and then after that, we talk about compensation. That needs to change. Okay, and then we shrink the world. I'm going to come back to compensation. Shrink the world is loading their criteria in the MLS to deduct available homes. So I go, Renee, did you know how many homes are on the market right now? And he goes, no. I go, and I show him 15,000. We're in the MLS right now. Right? And then we go, all right, so let's start looking here. Leander, 5,000. 3.2, two-car garage, 1,600 to 2,000 square feet, 100. Under 300,000, 20. Okay? So I shrink the world with them to show them By the way, this is the multiple listing service, as I've stated up front for them, to let them know, like, this is where it comes from. They don't know. They think it's coming from the house fairy properties, like landing in your lap, in their email box. Okay? So for me, I got this from a guy who did a lot more business than me. This shrink the world process helps them see how it all happens, because I want them to know that this is the source. This is the source, not Zillow. This is the source. I want them to be committed to this. So I shrink the world and then ask them, do not get into a listing in pictures, a preview. You're not sitting there looking at pictures. We're just deducting to see the numbers, and I'm going to send all these properties to you. So I literally don't even click on into any of the properties, because then it's too much time. Okay, that's not why we're there. We're there to get a buyer rep agreement signed. Yes? Yes. Right? We're there to get a buyer rep agreement signed. So find out what days and times work for them best to preview or to view properties, and then that's like a soft close right there, okay? And I'm gonna come back to compensation, okay? Because I think that's the most opportunity for us to spend time on. And then I close them. I love this close, and I don't have this on my listing agreement, but I have been using it, is this funnel close, where I'm like, you like this? You like that? You like this? You like that? Okay, cool. Are we cool? Yeah, we're cool? Great, sign the contract here. All right, so I just gave you the scaled up strategy of it. So do you think I presented clearly on what's happening with the market? Yeah, of course. Is there anything I missed you might be looking for, or what someone else may have mentioned that I didn't cover? Okay, sometimes something comes up and they go, well, actually, okay. Because I want to know what they think. Like, I want to make, where are you at right now on your mindset as far as the material or stuff maybe that I didn't cover? Okay, number C, if you see properties that you like, will you be comfortable with me negotiating on your behalf? Yeah, I think so. That's another soft close. All right, great. I'm committed to spend the time and the money and the energy to get you the best deal possible. And in return, all I ask for is for you to commit to work with me. Does that sound fair? Yes. Okay, great. Our next best step is to take a look at this agreement so I can negotiate on your behalf. Let's take a look, and then we jump into the buyer rep agreement.
Do you talk about off-market opportunities in your presentation?
Was that in there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was under the MLS.
It was under the MLS.
Wrote, like,
So,
off-market
Shrink the
business.
word, number 7, I think you did an
previous
ad.
slide, yeah.
Maybe-
Oh, right there. Strategies. Yeah. I missed that one. Yeah.
I think you can add
Yep.
for the new build too, for the new construction.
Sure. I got new homes on there. Yeah, expired, distressed, wholesale, for sale by owners, new homes. Because now we've been doing this, we haven't changed the only thing that has to change for me with this whole new NAR stuff is making sure I address the compensation. Okay, because this is what I've been doing. Value. I love buyer's appointments because they're so easy to get signed if they're motivated. So easy, because they're like, whoa, like this guy, look, this guy's doing everything. And I've clearly demonstrated value. Okay, now compensation comes along. Let's get here, and now I have to deal with that. So this is going to be an interactive workshop, okay? Because I have not done a buyer agreement since this all came into play. I do a lot more listings than I do buyers, and so this is a great opportunity to fine tune this. Going to Mega Camp. Who went to Mega Camp? Okay, good amount of people. I can't remember who it was, and I looked in my notes and I couldn't find it this morning. On being able to begin addressing compensation.
Jen from Maps
I think I was Jen, and I think from what I recall, she started with a question, are you aware of how compensation...
What do you understand about the compensation conversation that's happening in the market today?
That's exactly right. Yeah, what do you understand about the compensation model that's happening right now based off of the current market conditions or what's happened with the NAR lawsuit? And some of them kind of like peripherally have like heard about it. They're not, look, it's really important to us. Not as important to everybody else.
They didn't understand it beforehand.
Right.
Even a lot of agents, they don't understand.
A lot of agents don't understand it, right? What do you say it one more time for us, Kim?
What do you understand about the compensation lawsuits and the conversation that's happening in the market right now around that?
Yeah. Okay. So and then she followed that up with 3 things. You remember?
Yeah, she said she she said 3 things are going to happen when we ask for compensation. Either the seller is going to pay my compensation, or we. Wait, let me think about this. The seller is going to pay my compensation. I forget the.
They'll pay
second
part of the compensation.
part of the compensation.
Or they'll-
We're going to have a discussion about how to structure our offer, or how you're going to compensate me for the difference.
Yeah. So 3 things could happen. The seller could offer to pay all of my compensation. They could offer to only pay a part of my compensation, or they may now offer to pay compensation, and then I have to figure out how to get through that, as far as like how we can negotiate it, how we can work with the lender with it. And I'm not aware on the lender scenario on what's happening with that or not yet.
She did say we are, and if that happens, we are going to have a conversation.
Right.
Because you can always go back and amend your paperwork, right?
Yeah.
If you need to.
Yeah.
If you choose to, right? And I've spoken to several lenders, and they said that figure in 12A is limited by the type of loan and down payment that you're giving to this day. So right now, it hasn't changed. That compensation is that seller credit
Concession.
is still limited.
Concession.
Concession
I
is
know
still
they're
limited.
pushing for changes on that paragraph so that the contract itself
Yeah.
specify an amount that is for closing costs
Yep.
and an amount that is for buyer's agent.
Yeah.
compensation.
We don't know how that's.
Yeah.
It's still up in the air.
I think this month they were pushing for the change.
So a couple things. I want to be able to talk to the lender, right? And get on the same page with the lender, because lenders are like realtors. They all do things a little bit differently or have different capacities. Okay, so I definitely, as a buyer's agent now, want to talk to that lender once I get them into agreement to make sure that we're on the same page on what it is that they may or may not be able to do. Or maybe this is a good opportunity for me to be able to start to my lenders like now and go, hey guys, where are you at with this? Okay, and what do you have available? Because I'm sure that could be valuable information in some conversation somewhere, because I'm always being judged on what I say. Prospect, buyer, prospect, seller, right? And what information I offer, how intelligibly or confidently I talk about something. No or yes. That's what Power Hour is about, right? Me being able to communicate more effectively, efficiently, comfortably, and confidently. Okay, this is the topic of the year here. Okay, so the seller may pay the commission, pay my compensation. The seller may pay a part of the compensation, or the seller may not pay any of the compensation, and then we need to figure out how we can work the deal and how we can work through that. I've been saying, I got to figure out whether I should keep saying this. Look, I'm not going to get. I would never want to get in between you and a deal. Did you say that, or somebody said that? I stole that from somebody.
My goal is to get you into a house. And I would rather look the other way over a few $1,000s and get your business in the future and the business of your friends and family, because you know, like, and trust me, than to fight over a few $1,000s for me.
Yeah.
It's not worth it to me. And our goal is to get you into a property that you love.
Yeah, so I want you to know that I'm not ever going to get in the way between you and the house that you really want. I'm not going to let my compensation get in the way of that. We'll figure it out. Okay, so I promise you that we'll find a way to figure this out, but I want you to know, like, I'm never going to put my money before your dream. Okay, we'll figure out a way to make this work. Does that make sense? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, great.
Is that already planting the seed that you're gonna not get paid? Like you're willing to not get paid?
Not really.
So wait, is that a statement or a question?
No, I'm asking, like, is that planting the seed in the buyer's mind that if we come to that point?
Well, so part two now. Let's talk about this, right? Because so hold that for just a second, right? Because Mr. Buyer, Mrs. Buyer, what I need to do is make sure that any of the properties that we go out and see, you already have an understanding of where those properties sit in regards to compensation, so that you can make an informed decision on whether you want to go see those properties or not. And so that's part of the homework that I'm going to do and part of the value that I'm going to bring. Does that make sense? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, do we want to see, okay, now here's the workshop part of it.
It's also in the context of your business standard, right? So
Right.
whatever your business standard is and you fill in that blank, then
Yeah.
you add on top of that layer. Look, if the seller isn't offering
Anything.
this full amount,
We gotta talk about it.
again,
and
I'm not
decide.
going to get between
Yeah.
you and the house, but we
So
will
you
do
decide.
everything we can to get that money from
Because
somewhere.
I've been having this conversation. I've been asked several times before the lawsuit was even a conversation for us. I've been asked, like, okay, so how do you get paid? And we talk about it. And I've had situations where we've had a for sale by owner. I'm representing the buyer, and the owner, two instances. One, they didn't want to pay anything. My buyer paid, and then the other one, we negotiated half. So half by the seller, half by my buyer. I don't like that statement. The way you presented it to me sounds like we're planting the seed. I'm not gonna get paid. So what I'm telling them is, you get to decide how to move forward. If it comes to the point of where the house or the seller is not willing to pay my office, right, my broker, then you have the opportunity to choose how you continue to move forward. Because unfortunately, I'm not able to work with you anymore or help you through the rest of the process. Meaning, I cannot negotiate for you anymore. I cannot review the contracts with you anymore. So the buyers have been okay saying, well, I really need help. You've helped me all this time. You've helped me talk to the lender. You connected me, helped me through the process of getting ready to purchase. So I want to pay you. But
Yeah. So a couple things. Because you were like, you went the other way a little bit on. I like the in between here, because you go, well, look, you get to decide. I see where you're coming from on going, like, not planting a seed of like, look, I might not get paid, and I'm okay with that, which is not what I'm saying. And because we don't know what's going to happen.
we don't know.
So I got to be careful on how I talk. We always had to be careful on how we talk, right? I mean, that was what real estate school was all about, right? And so then I love that you're saying that, actually, because that actually helps me with, like, all right, you can decide how to move forward. I like that language that you're using. I probably wouldn't say personally, or, I'm not going to be able to work with you, because then you're swinging maybe too hard the other way for me, for my language. But again, we're all figuring this out, right? And as I said, the workshop, because I haven't done any of these yet.
And I had a conversation recently with a buyer that this is a repeat buyer. And, because he got a new representation agreement, he's like, hey, I see some things changed. Let's talk about it. I'm like, sure, let's talk about it. And he asked me, where are you going to know if the seller is paying or not? And I said, yeah, sure, I can find out. I said, it's not going to be an MLS. He already knows what MLS is. He's seen it before, right? He knows how he gets his list of properties. I said, in the past, before today, I was able to see them. As of today, I can't see it anymore. He's like, well, can you call and find out? Sure, I can call, find out, and I can tell you, out of 5 properties you want to see, all 3 are willing to pay. He's like, okay, well, I would be okay not seeing the other ones. He's
Right.
already giving me the permission to not show
Yeah.
whoever's not going to pay.
Yeah.
Well, there's also other ways to get the compensation, right?
Right.
It's in concessions, it's
Yeah.
in a lower price. If they're cash, you're just offering less money and then paying the agent from that. It's money bucketing,
Yeah.
right? It's the same thing we've always been doing, but we're just bucketing money differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is good. Any other thoughts?